Michelle. I'm a physical therapist with 35 years of experience, and I'd like to share with you today a little bit about this new form of exercise, walking the dog, okay? How can you get the most out of this? These days it's hard to get to the gym, so you want to get the most out of this exercise. Try to think about what your goals are. For me, it is gaining some endurance and also protecting my joints. I have a very physical career, so I want to maintain that function, but also keep up the endurance and strength. So, first I want to talk about a couple of things that you have to take in mind when you're going to go for a walk. Number one, your shoes. Number two, maybe some stretching before you head out the door. And number three, your actual posture and stride and how you actually want to take your steps and make that walk the most that it can be for you. Okay? So first of all, let's talk a little bit about your shoes. All right? For me, I have no particular difficulties, but I want to protect my joints, like my knee and my back. So I like a shoe that gives me a lot of shock absorption, like a running shoe. The first thing I do is replace that insert that comes with even those high-dollar tennis shoes with a sports arch support. Now you can get some of these at the grocery store, but they tend to wear out pretty quick. I like the Spanko brand, but there's a lot of other good ones out there. It has a little gel in the heel, a little gel in the toe, and a little bit of an arch, just enough that you feel like you're supported, but you're not having a rock in your shoe. Not anything too hard or uncomfortable. Next, just looking at the shape of the shoe. For me, I've got wide toes and a narrow ankle. So I want to be sure I'm getting support, but I'm also not pinching my toes. So I've got a wide toe box and sort of an hourglass shape on this shoe, but the laces will cinch it up close into my ankle. So I'm getting good support out of this. A nice high heel counter and good shock absorption. Now, a lot of people like the slip-on shoes. I'll just say that some of those will work for me if they have a really high heel counter. If it's really low in the back, it's not going to give you a lot of support for those quick turns, and it's not going to help your balance near as much as a shoe that has a high heel counter in the back. The other option a lot of people are choosing is a really soft and spongy insole. And while those feel good to your foot, it's kind of like wearing a slipper, you're kind of bouncy on air. They also can kind of throw your balance off, especially, like I say, on those quick turns or if you're walking on something unlevel. So they're not really good for walking the dog out on the sidewalk, up and down curbs and that sort of thing. Not your best choice on that. And definitely stay away from the flip-flops or the sandals. If you're doing any kind of speed with your walking, those are going to really put a lot of shock on your knees and your back and not give you the support that you need to stay balanced. Okay, enough about shoes. The next thing we're going to talk about is what to do as far as stretching. And I want to talk a little bit about what you can do to get the most out of your walk stretching wise, okay? So we're going to do a little bit of a warm-up before we head out the door. You woke up early, you're ready to go for your walk, but you've been sleeping all night. You're kind of curled up in a ball. Those muscles are a little bit tense, a little bit tight. Those joints are a little bit stiff. So you want to do just a little light warm-up to protect those joints from injury as you start out on your walk. Remember, that's one of my goals, is to definitely protect my joints as I'm getting my exercise. I need them to function well. So let's do a few stretches. What are your tight muscles? Well, tight traps. So a few stretches here, keeping your neck long. Tilt your head to the side. These I don't hold as long, just like a 10-second, 5-second stretch. Okay, next, those pecs, okay? We don't want to be walking with our back all bent forward, so let's stretch out the tightness in those pecs by just squeezing your shoulder blades, or you can grab your hands and pull behind and do a nice stretch there. Every time your puppy dog wants to stop and take a sniff, you can pull out your exercises and start doing a few stretches, okay? So, pecs, traps, what else? Quads. That's a nice big thick muscle that needs a little stretching. Grab the back of your ankle, pull your navel in towards your spine, and just do a nice 20-30 second stretch on this one. It's a big muscle. 1 or 2 times just to get you ready for your walk. Okay, next, hamstrings. So we're going to prop it up on something and lean in. I don't want to stretch my lower back. I'm trying to protect that area, so I'm going to pull my navel in to stabilize there and then reach. So now that I'm not cheating, I'm not going to be able to go as far, but I can really feel it in those hamstrings up in the back. So 20-30 seconds on these. Okay, next one, the calf muscles. When I wake up, sometimes the bottom of my feet are a little bit stiff. So I'm going to start out with a stretch here, 1 foot in front, 1 behind. Now here you want to make sure that your foot is not turned out like an L, but not completely straight in alignment with your body. You want it turned out just slightly. Your front leg, you want to watch your alignment there, that your knee doesn't pass your toe and jam up your knee joint. We don't want to start the walk that way. So keep that knee in line or behind your toe. Pull your core in again, and you're doing a stretch. This way, you're getting the calf, and I'm also feeling it a little bit in my hip flexors. So I'm getting a nice warm-up stretch there. Again, 20 seconds, couple times. Just lean into that and hold it. And you're going to want to do both sides on that too, of course. Okay? So basically, those are your tight muscles. The other thing you want to think about in your warm-up is engaging your weak muscles. So before I even take that first step, I'm thinking about engaging the weak muscles. And which ones are those? Okay? Your neck flexors. We'll start right up at the top. Your neck flexors right here. We tend to just kind of let our heads hang forward. You don't want to walk with your neck hanging forward. You want to think about keeping that chin tucked back, keeping that nice alignment. Now, the visual cue I give myself is just to think about being tall. If I just think I'm trying to be as tall as I can be, that automatically gets my head pulled back into a good position there. So, thinking about pulling the head back is one way to do it, or just thinking about being as tall as you can be. Okay, so we've engaged those neck muscles. What next? Well, we loosen the pecs, but we need to think about squeezing the shoulder blades together, okay? So right in the back, I'm pinching my shoulder blades a little bit. Or you can think about lifting your rib cage away from your hips, lifting up. Next, and most important, I think, is the navel pull. Think about pulling that navel in towards your spine. Now, you can't pull it in like 10 out of 10, or you'd be walking like a robot, right? But like 3 out of 10 strength. You're just more aware, and you're tensing and pulling that navel in a little bit. Again, thinking about walking tall, keeping about squeezing those shoulder blades together. Okay, so now we're engaging all of those weak muscles, and we've got the tight muscles relaxed and ready to go. One more thing I need to mention is breathing. This is going to help you with your relaxation. It's going to help you with your endurance for a longer walk. You want to think about regular breathing. You don't want to be just breathing crazy, fast, or slow. You want a nice regular rate. Kind of sync it with your steps or your stride, and that really works the best. Just kind of syncing that with it. If you're going for speed and you're really going to try to pick it up, you might think about doing some purse lip breathing, where you're breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. That breath out is always going to be a little bit longer than that breath in. So a quick breath in, a long breath out. Okay? So that's going to help you with staying relaxed and using your proper muscles as you're carrying on your walk. Okay? All right, thank you. And next we're going to talk about actual posture on the walk. I'd just like to add that if you've got any special issues with your feet, like arthritis in the feet or neuropathy or diabetes, you might require some professional consultation to get just the right shoe for you to go on that walk, and it's well worth the money to do that. So now, on the walk, let's talk a little bit about what we want to do here. There's a couple things to think about. Your stride length, your arm swing, and still keeping that navel pull, okay? For my back, I really like to get those arms swinging. Feels like when I get that rotation that I'm really getting some good blood flow to my spine, and that loosens me up in the morning and really can take away that morning stiffness. So make sure that you're able to, even if you're holding the leash, that you're able to swing one arm and get some rotation in your shoulder blades as you're walking the dog, okay? So that's real important. Next, in your stride length. Here, opinions somewhat vary. You don't want a huge, long step. A big, long step is going to cause you to hyperextend your knee, and it might aggravate those cartilage in your knee just a little bit, especially if you've got some knee issues. You don't want a huge, long step where you're hyperextending your knee. But if you take a short step, you're more likely to stub your toe on the concrete or catch your foot on something. So you want to be sure that you have enough time to clear your feet, especially when you're walking outdoors on unlevel surfaces. So somewhere in the middle. You don't want a hard heel strike with a very long step, but you don't want such a short step that you're catching your foot on things. So somewhere in between, just a light strike on the heel or just the midfoot. And it's really going to help too that you've got that gel in the sole of your inserts. That's going to help you with your walking as well. So we've got the arm swing going. We've got a nice even stride. We're still thinking about our navel pull and walking tall. We've got our regular breathing going to keep our heart rate down so that we can go further. Next thing I want to just mention is your jaw. A lot of times people will end up with a headache because their head is forward or they're really into the walk and they're clenching their jaw. So be sure that if you're not doing that pursed lip breathing, that you've at least got your jaw relaxed or your mouth slightly open. Or one thing I'll do is put my tongue on the roof of my mouth just to remind myself not to start clenching my jaw as I'm walking. That's very important, okay? So we want to swing the arms, we want to stay relaxed in those tight muscles, and we want to engage those weak muscles. And then the next thing we need to think about, and the most important of course, is the dog. You need to choose your partner wisely, and when you're choosing what person or a dog you want to go with on this walk. And don't let them lead you down the wrong path. Number one, you definitely don't want to let them convince you to wear your flip-flops just to walk around the block. Likely going to be tripping on that one. Second, don't walk in the dark. Early morning, as winter comes on, it's going to be getting darker a little bit sooner. And if you're walking in dim light, you're more likely to trip and fall over something. Third is your dog. Can you control the dog? My dog is a little crazy, and my walk tends to turn into an obstacle course because she's jumping over the curb or stopping short or whipping me this way or that way. So you've got to be prepared for that. You've got to keep your core engaged as you're walking your dog and make sure that you're ready and that you've chosen your partner wisely. So keep on walking and keep on moving.